Okay, so let's unpack a story that honestly just completely rewrites the history books on the Caribbean.
It really does.
If you went to school, you probably learned the standard extinction myth. The Spanish arrive, and by, what, the mid-1500s, poof.
Poof. Gone. The indigenous Taino population is just wiped out. Smallpox, the sword, the end.
Right. But when you look at the sources they've got in front of us today, colonial census records, military files, and even modern genetic studies, that narrative, it just falls apart.
It's the standard textbook line, total biological collapse. But what's so fascinating in these documents is they show a picture of retreat and adaptation, not extinction.
So the bureaucracy of the time actually kept counting them.
Yes, long after they were supposed to have vanished.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to figure out how a government can officially count thousands of Indios centuries after they were supposedly extinct, and then how those same people were erased again.
But not by disease this time.
No, by a pen.
Right. And to understand this, you have to look at the geography. The records show the indigenous groups retreated into the Cordillera Central, the Central Mountain Ranges.
Into a specific region in San Germán that, people there still call it La Dieta.
They do, the Indian place.
And this wasn't just a few people hiding out. I was looking at the 1779 census data, and the numbers are just incredibly specific. It officially lists 3,551 Indios living there.
In the late 18th century, that's 200 years after the supposed extinction.
It's staggering.
Exactly. And the Spanish crown knew they were there. In fact, some of the documents mention a compañía de indios.
A militia unit.
A whole militia unit of indigenous soldiers. They were organized, recognized by the state, and were, patrolling the coasts.
Defending the very crown that supposedly wiped them out.
So we have an organized population armed by the state, which leads to the big question. If they were there in 1779, why do the history books say they disappeared?
And this is where we get to the idea of the paper genocide.
It's a chilling term. It is, but it's accurate. The disappearance happens in 1802. It wasn't a plague, it was an administrative decision. The government wanted to simplify the racial hierarchy.
To what? Create a more unified workforce?
Precisely. They decided to just delete the category of Indio from the census forms.
So they just changed the paperwork.
Just like that. Overnight, thousands of people who were classified as Indios were reclassified as Pardos Libres, free brown people. The people didn't die. Their label did.
It's bureaucratic alchemy. You're an indigenous person on Monday, and on Tuesday, you're just free brown. But then the story pivots again. The U.S. invades in 1898.
Right, and the Americans bring their own unique obsession with the racial categories.
And they essentially rediscover the Indian because it fits their narrative.
Exactly, which connects to the Carlisle Indian Industrial School. It's shocking, but we have records showing the U.S. government sent 193 Puerto Rican children to Carlisle.
The school in Pennsylvania, famous for its motto, "Kill the Indian, save the man."
The very one. Designed to forcibly assimilate Native Americans. The U.S. authorities decided these Puerto Rican kids had a tribal indigeneity that needed civilizing.
The contradiction is just incredible. As the Spanish tried to blend them in, and the Americans tried to pull them back out to re-educate them.
And the research highlights one student, Vicente Figueroa, who really embodies this whole mess. The U.S. government labels him an Indian to send him to Carlisle.
Trains him as a machinist.
But then later, when he applies for a job, he's often rejected or marginalized because society saw him as mostly Negro.
So the labels were just tools. To the Spanish, Pardo. To the Americans, Indian for education, but black for employment. It was always about political utility.
Never about reality.
So if the paper trail is that messy, we have to look at the biology. And this is the real aha moment from modern genetics.
It's the clincher.
The data shows that 61% of modern Puerto Ricans carry Amerindian mitochondrial DNA.
And mitochondrial is the key word there. That DNA is passed down exclusively from the mother.
So even though the male indigenous lineage was largely broken,
the women survived, they adapted, had children, and passed their genes down in an unbroken chain to the majority of the island's population today.
It completely reframes the whole story. It wasn't an extinction at all. It was a survival strategy.
Precisely.
So I want to leave you with this thought to mull over. We just saw how an entire culture was erased from history simply because a bureaucrat changed a category on a census form in 1802. It makes you wonder, how many other extinct cultures in history were simply deleted by a stroke of a pen rather than a sword? Thanks for listening to this deep dive.